People have been asking for this video for, well, about a year since I did the first video talking about this PTO powered generator. And I've put it off mainly because of the electrical situation at my house. I just kept putting this off, putting this off. I did some more study on it to try to understand the most cost-effective and the simplest way for me to be able to connect this generator to the house safely. I'm going to show you that. We're going to show the generator powering our entire house, including our geothermal with the assisted electric heat. In other words, in the least efficient mode possible. And that requires about 10 kilowatts on its own. So 10 kilowatts plus whatever else we have connected in the house. We're going to see if we can pull that with this tractor. Let's get started.
Tim cut down most of the arborvitaes there by our garage door in order to do today's project. Then he asked me if I would take one of the tractors with a grapple on it and get rid of what he had cut down. Johnny X here already had all the plumbing on it that it needed for that iron fist grapple from Artillion. I wish I had more time to practice with a grapple, and then maybe I would have gotten all these limbs the first time around. Get that little piece. I'm not sure why he left one piece of it. Timber. All Tim really asked me to do was take the grapple and get up what he had cut down. Tim was a little slow in coming around for today's project, so to see what else I may have cut down, watch until the very end of the video.
Okay, safety Nazis, hold your fire for just a second. I think it'll be okay. Okay, so let me show you how we've got this connected. This goes through the wall to the outside. We've got our new wires coming in right here to this breaker right here. Okay? So we are going to be bringing the power in, the generator power, right into this breaker, and therefore we're going to be able to power all of the circuits in our house. We won't have to leave anything out, assuming we have enough tractor to run everything that we have to run. So the risk with this is obvious, right? The reason the safety Nazis were already on their keyboards is because the moment I turn this on, if I leave this main on, I'm backfeeding through the electrical grid, right? And if my power's out, if let's say we've had an ice storm and I say, hey, I want to turn on my generator, I just flip this and go on. That's not going to be good, because when someone comes to repair it out at the street, they're going to have a shock. Literally. So, there's been a lot of different ways to handle this. Probably the best way, the most expensive way, but the best way is to have an automatic disconnect switch or an automatic switchover. And so if you're using a dedicated generator, as soon as power fails at the grid, then the power switch switches over basically and fires up the generator on its own. Not wrong order there, but it fires up the generator, then switches all the circuits over to that generator, and you know, hopefully you hardly even notice that the power was out. But that's not going to work with a PTO generator anyway, right? Because you're not going to have it out, you're not going to have it ready. So we don't need that. So the next best thing is a manual switch, just a big switch somewhere that you switch between grid power and non-grid power. Well, if you do that, you've got to get the utility involved, or at least I would think you would, because this is the power coming from the grid right up here, right down in there. I would have to interrupt that somewhere with a switch. So that would be involving the utility, having them out to install that switch for me. That's going to be relatively expensive, right? There's another alternative. We could create a sub panel, a second panel out here where we would use that same type of switch to switch on and off that sub panel, and we would move a portion of our breakers, whichever ones we want to control with our generator, whichever ones we want to run with our generator, we would move those into that sub panel, right? So that in that case, the switch would be between the main panel and the generator sub panel. But I really wanted to run all of my devices at the same time. You know, I want it all, right? Well, the generator's plenty big enough. Assuming I have enough tractor, we should be able to do that. So I was looking for a cost-effective approach to make this work. So let me show you how we're going to keep it safe. Okay, I got the cover on now, and this is the trick right here. This is called a generator interlock kit. I put a little piece of red tape over the breaker here just further to set it apart from all the rest, but there's no way I can turn this on. See, I can even try. There's no way I can turn this on with this piece of aluminum in the way, right? And the piece of aluminum will slide upward when I switch the main to off. Okay? So to make this work, the inlet breaker has to be on the top right in my box. So in order to make that happen, I moved all of my breakers down. I happen to have one more space. I happen to have two more spaces. So I took all of these breakers out and I moved them all down. Okay? Opened up two spaces here. If I hadn't have had two spaces here, if I hadn't had enough space overall, they make breakers now that are half width. So you can do two circuits on one full width. And so I was going to replace some of these. Now my box is somewhat old, so I'm not sure that I was going to be able to do that, but I think certain, like the first 10, or maybe it's the last 10, I don't know, support those half width breakers, and that was my next step, but I didn't have to go to that. If I have to add any more circuits to my house at all, I'm totally full. I'll either have to go to a sub panel or I'll have to start using those half width breakers. So this is about it, Christy. No new electrical enhancements here in the house. All of the cool features from now on have to be in the shed.
I don't think so, Tim.
Okay, it's going to be a little bit hard to show you once we get the power off, right? Because it's going to be kind of dark in here. So what I think I'll do is I'll go outside and fire up the generator with this off. We'll switch it, and then when we come back in to see what it looks like in the switched configuration, we'll have power, albeit generator supplied instead of grid supplied. So out here I've added the generator plug. I'm just right behind the actual box inside, and this was all existing. Stuff to go to the shed, I guess. So I already had a hole through the wall. I didn't have to put a new hole through the wall. I was thankful for that, and I was able to get my 4 wires, the 3 main conductors, plus you can see the ground in there, the equipment ground. I just used a little bit of steel conduit pieces here that are supposed to be watertight, and I attached this box, which I bought on Amazon, to the wall with Tapcon screws. By the way, I can put links to all of these parts if you're interested on my Amazon store. I'll just make a section called generator parts or generator on my Amazon store, amazon.com/shop/tractortimewithtim. And this is the connector I've got here. This cord came with the generator, but this end of the cord was bare. So it didn't come with any plug. So I got the 50 amp generator plug and then this 50 amp outdoor capable receptacle here. It's kind of weird because the receptacle has the plugs on it, right? But that's good because this is a power inlet, right? And due to the way we've got that, this will never be on when the main's on. So this should be safe. So we plug it right in here. And now what we're going to show you is some of the cool display on the generator. We're not actually going to disconnect our main or anything, but we're going to have this thing running, and I'll show you some of the features. The day after this video releases, we're supposed to be probably our coldest days all winter, and these are the kind of days I want to be prepared for. It's nice today and there's no weather, nothing bad here going on, but I just want to be prepared, and I'm glad to have this ready in time for this. I really don't want a dedicated generator. I want to use a tractor generator because I want to be able to use a tractor for another purpose. Now, let me talk a little bit about that. Today I've got the generator on the 3046R, which is a new tractor, right? Just, I don't know, just over 100 hours. And that's expensive hours to put on any machine. Those first 1,000 hours are relatively costly. And another potential problem is that when I'm using my generator is a time where I might have trees down or I might have snow to move. I've got other things that I need to be doing with my tractor. And so some folks say, well, a PTO generator just doesn't make sense for that reason. Well, here's my point on that. Have you been watching our recent auction videos? We see tractor after tractor after tractor come through that is older, right? Is maybe not quite as reliable as the new ones. Maybe the seat isn't as comfortable. Maybe it doesn't even have a loader, heaven forbid. But having a second tractor can be useful in all seasons, but this might be an excuse to get one, right? I mean, you would have a generator engine that you could use to do a lot of other work around your property while your primary tractor is on the grapple or on some important task, right? For instance, pulling a wagon, or sometimes having two tractors so you don't have to unhitch and rehitch all the time is just a tremendous saving. So sometimes $2,500, sometimes $5,000 can get you one of these tractors that's, yeah, it's not as reliable as your primary tractor, but it would do the job. And in those tractors, you just don't care if you put another 10 hours on it, or 20 hours, or 30, 100 hours. Who cares, right? I mean, our old Salty, I don't care if we have to put 1,000 hours on it on the generator. Boy, I would hate to have to run on generator for 1,000 hours. But you see my point. It's not going to cost anything on old Salty, right? He's got so many hours, it just doesn't matter anymore. Put those things together and a PTO generator kind of brings itself back into consideration for a lot of us. Hopefully you can see with this camera, you can see the voltage generated by this generator. And what I would like to point out, I'm going to have a little trouble communicating, is that we are able to see 120 volts exactly from 470 PTO RPM all the way up to 560 or so. And even at 560, we're still seeing 120 volts. We just get this little overspeed light occurring on the generator, but it's still holding it at 120 volts. That's this built-in regulator that this higher-end machine has. So even if the tractor gets pulled down a little bit, we're going to maintain a good 120 volt signal inside, and so we shouldn't have any damage. Now, I talked a lot of detail about features of this generator. This is a 4-pole generator versus a 2-pole generator. A lot more copper in it. It runs half as fast in here to generate the same voltage, right? So it's supposed to have a longer lifespan. I talked a lot of details about that. I don't want to try to go through them all in this episode. Go back to last year's episode. We'll link it in the description. We'll also put it in a card up here if you're watching on a compatible device. Enough on that. Let's show some power. I'm going to switch it inside. Folks, it's not quiet. I'm finding my ISO tunes so I can continue talking with you. It's reading 105 dB on my watch. So it's not quiet at all right here where I am. We're seeing 25 amps on one leg, 7 amps on the other. We're seeing an average of 2.6 kilowatts. We saw a peak of 5.8 kilowatts. I don't have to touch the display to see all of this stuff. It's just showing me I don't have to have any skill to figure out what's going on here. Now hopefully our internet and everything's had a chance to get back going, and I'm looking here at our geothermal. Oh, our geothermal is off right now. So I'm going to turn our geothermal on. Let's see what happens. Okay, here we go. Hear it pull down a little bit. We're at 11.7 kilowatts right now. She's got the dryer on. We've got the geothermal on. The geothermal is using 2 kilowatts. The dryer must be using most of the rest. It's an electric dryer, so it's going to be using a lot. The geothermal is running in its efficient mode right now. In just a few minutes, the geothermal is going to decide that it needs to kick on the emergency heat, because what I did was I turned up the temperature inside, and if it runs for 15 minutes and it's not able to get it within 2 degrees of the set point, then it kicks on the emergency heat. So in just a few minutes we should see that emergency heat kick on, and then we'll see if little Johnny declares an emergency. Now we've got the dryer on, and we've got the geothermal using the emergency heat. Overall, the geothermal is using 10 kilowatts, just slightly over 10 kilowatts. About 8 of that is the emergency heat, and the rest is just what it regularly uses. The dryer is kicking off and on, and we can I guess I'll say feel that or hear that in the tractor. The maximum we're seeing is 22.4 kilowatt. I suppose Christy could go in and turn on the stove, but we're pretty much there, right? I think it's pretty clear that the 3046R is enough tractor to pull our entire house, everything we need. Even on the coldest day, I'm certain that it could keep us cool in the summer. Our air conditioner doesn't take much power. Again, it's geothermal, and it works beautifully in the summer. This makes me much more comfortable just knowing that I've got this, right? We rarely have power issues here in central Indiana. I know that Christy's parents in the southeast with the hurricanes and with big rains, their weather is much more severe than ours, unless it's something tragic like a tornado, which might come through the Midwest. But for the most part, our power is very stable. We're very happy with that. But having this brings a lot of comfort to me, knowing that I can quickly back it up here. I can switch everything. Yeah, that's a good deal. Can Johnny X run it? Everything in our house? Can Johnny 1025R run everything in our house? How about Old Salty? How about the 2038R? We'll show you those in our next episode. If you have other questions, leave them in the comments section below. I'm not sure what all we should cover, but I'm fascinated by this. We got this from Baumalight.com. They provided it for our testing. Wow, it's pulling hard right now. There we go. That's that 22.4 kilowatts again. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you next time on Tractor Time with Tim.
Hopes placed in mortals die with them. All the promise of their power comes to nothing.
I'm afraid Tim's left me alone a little too long with a chainsaw and a grapple.